Welcome to whofooadventures, Part 8 of our Sedona Vegfest 2019 video series.
Today's presenter is Dr. Will Tuttle. I really appreciate Will's attitude about the animals and the environment and the earth. He's very compassionate, so I think you'll appreciate what he has to say.
Well, it wasn't until I read The World Peace Diet by Dr. Will Tuttle that everything fell into place for me. The depth and breadth of insight that Will Tuttle brings to our understanding of history and the importance of what we do in our daily lives, our daily decisions to the planet. It's unmatched in my experience. There's been nothing I've read that brings those things together and the understanding of all of that in the same way. The World Peace Diet has been published in 16 languages. Will is also, besides being a PhD, he's a recipient of the Courage of Conscience Award and the Empty Cages Prize. He's the author of Your Inner Islands, which is on developing intuition. He's editor of Circles of Compassion on the interconnection of social justice issues. He's been a vegan since 1980, frequent guest on radio, television, online presenter. He was featured in Cowspiracy and a number of other documentary films. If you saw Prayer for Compassion here this weekend, you saw him there. And he is co-founder of the Worldwide Prayer Circle for Animals. He's also a former Zen monk. His PhD is from UC Berkeley, and Dr. Tuttle is also a noted composer and pianist. We had the joy of hearing him play when he was here in Sedona last February. He lectures and concertizes extensively around the world, promoting peace and cultural healing. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Will Tuttle.
I think the paintings and the connecting with the animals of this earth, these beautiful other beings, they're always kind of in the background. The cows and pigs and chickens and turkeys and ducks and geese and fishes that we're just killing by the millions every hour. And then the wild, free-living animals whose habitats we're destroying. I really sense at such a deep level that the animals of the earth love us if we would just behave properly. Like Jane Goodall said this the other day. I read it the other day. She said, human beings seem to be perhaps the most intelligent life form that this planet has produced. Why is the main thing we do, we destroy our home? What is that? So I can try to bring a message to the other human beings on this planet that we can live in another way. That this earth is enormously beautiful and abundant. This earth is so beautiful, but the lie that we keep hearing is that the earth is just not that abundant. I mean, we really can't really grow enough food to feed everyone. And so many aspects of the cultural narrative that is indoctrinated into all of us from the time we're little kids, right up through getting, like me, a PhD from at the time was the #1 graduate school of education in the country, it's just misinformation. We get massive amounts of misinformation, and one of them is that feeding everyone is a real challenge. And yet everyone who studies hunger, for example, knows that every year we grow enough food to feed everyone. No one argues that. We grow easily enough food to feed. We have roughly 7.5 billion people to feed 10, 11, 12 billion people. The problem is, of course, that we're feeding most of the grain. In the United States, it's probably close to 70% of the grain to animals while people are starving. And the system that we're using is enormously wasteful. So we've heard that saying by Gandhi, there's enough for everyone's need, but there's not enough for everyone's greed. And this is one of the most beautiful, I think, teachings, essentially, that is underlying our movement, is the essential, not only beauty of this planet, that hopefully awakens within us a yearning to protect the ecosystems, the oceans, the rivers, the rainforests, the birds, the fishes, and so forth, for ourselves, for future generations, and for their own sake, but also the abundance of this earth, that we can feed everyone on this planet on a fraction of the land. this is something that I think really needs to be understood with not only organic but with veganic agriculture. The new studies show that when we just stop using bone meal and blood meal and manure and fish meal and all these things, it's actually more efficient. We get more yield per acre. We can feed everyone on much less land, on a fraction of the water, of the petroleum, pollution levels. We can allow the rivers to heal, the oceans, the climate, aquifers, the soil, and so forth. So one of the main ideas in the World Peace Diet is that there are 5 levels of health. That when we think of being healthy, like eating a plant-based, whole foods plant-based diet is healthy, I think it's important to expand our concept of health beyond just our physical health. It's healthy for our physical bodies, and this is the basic takeaway, I think, on one level, is that all of us have been given this wonderful gift of a physical body which does not require any animal to suffer, to get all the nutrients that we need to celebrate our lives on this beautiful and abundant planet. But, this is the second part, we've all been born into a society where from the time we're little infants, and I would say probably even before that, when we're even in the womb, we've been basically indoctrinated into a system where we are essentially compelled, without our permission, to abandon that gift, to just reject that gift and say, no, we're going to imprison and impregnate and stab and kill animals anyway and eat their flesh and secretions. And, there's really no explanation, it's just that, well, that's what we do, we need the protein. And so all of us are wounded by that. So that's why I say veganism is a movement of healing. It's healing this wound. And when I wrote the World Peace Diet, I was essentially trying to help broaden the concept of health from just physical health to these other 4 dimensions of health, which are environmental health. In other words, it's very difficult to be healthy physically if the air is polluted, the water's polluted, soil is eroded, and climate's destabilized, and so forth. So having a healthy ecosystem is fundamental to our physical health. Second one is cultural health. It's not appropriate if we're to be healthy ourselves if we're living in a sick society, a society with war and conflict and inequality, injustice, terrorism, and so forth. So healthy environment, and healthy culture, and healthy physical bodies. That's the outside dimension of health. However, what I realize, this is what most people talk about when we talk about being healthy. We talk about physical health, maybe environmental health, maybe cultural health. But there's 2 other aspects of health, the internal dimensions, which are in many ways even more important, actually, than the outer, because the inner dimensions of health, this is our inner landscape of our consciousness. This is where we really abide in our life. So mental health or psychological health, and then spiritual health or ethical health. And what we really have to be clear about and understand beyond the shadow of a doubt is that animal agriculture erodes and destroys all 5. Relentlessly destroys and erodes and harms all 5 dimensions of health.
Thanks for watching our whofooadventures Sedona Vegfest 2019 video series.
Make sure to save the dates January 18th and 19th, 2020 for next year's Sedona Vegfest, and attend if you can.
Subscribe for more whofoo content.
Until next time, do
you whofoo?